talk about. We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just keep talking. Talking. For so long. Oh, we're babbling on. We're babbling on. Are you ready to be introduced?
I am ready.
Let me know when you're ready.
I'm so ready.
Just let me know when you're ready.
Presto. Does that mean ready?
That is prego.
Oh. All right.
No,
Well,
I'm...
Italian being a theme today, by the way.
Yeah. Oh, that... Okay.
Yeah.
So, all right. Let's just do this. Hello. Okay, hi. It's Hilton Dresden here, respected journalist. Welcome to Babbling On, a new podcast. So today's guest, we have a guest today. Her name, she is in fact a woman. Mm-hmm. Her name is the indomitable Natalie Price. And don't forget to say the indomitable before you address her. The indomitable.
Thanks.
Hey,
That's
you.
in my contract.
Welcome on in. Oh, fuck, I didn't sign the contract.
Oh. It's my lawyers will be in touch after.
Okay. Okay, as long as they're in touch.
Yeah.
So Natalie's heaven, and, like, without further ado, you're a genius, smartest person I know, funniest, and, like, my favorite person I know. I'm not even kidding, like, not to be a bitch to everyone else.
I hope they're not listening.
I hope not. And you know what? They probably aren't.
They
at
aren't,
this point.
because this one is for us.
This one's for us. And
I'm
like,
kind of hoping that this one will actually gather the attention of the fan base of
Oh, really? Like,
Yeah.
it'll make a splash in the
Twihard community.
Twihard community?
I hope. That's who this is for. It's not for people who don't care.
Like, Reddit forums will be like, look what
Look
they
at
found.
I was thinking more they were going to be like, these idiots don't know anything. But just because they're so smart.
That would be heaven to
They're
get
so
dragged in.
smart.
I mean, and I don't know
Yeah.
the deep
Stuff.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah.
Well, we're here just to cover...
We're here to cover it right.
Cover
Slap-
over all that we
Smother
can.
it in love. Hey, Nat.
Hey,
How are you?
I'm good.
You were just at a wedding.
I was at a wedding. True
Nuptials.
love was celebrated.
Nuptials.
And I go hard for that.
You were going
I was
hard.
going hard.
You were getting
It was
hard.
no.
Okay.
I said going hard.
Okay. My bad.
And then today I was like preparing for this.
Yeah. Same.
Studying. Watched 2 of the films.
Today?
Yes.
Oh, which ones?
Breaking Dawn
1 and 2.
1 and 2 because
I watched those this
putting it
week
off.
at your house, and I rewatched the first one again.
Yeah.
And I, of course, watched 2 and 3 within the past month as well.
Yeah.
Before we do that, though.
So Twilight.
So,
Saga.
yeah.
That's
well,
what we're talking
right.
about.
So, Natalie, what are you babbling on about today?
The Twilight Saga.
The Twilight Saga.
Yeah, films.
Films.
Well, there will be
And
mentions
books.
of the books,
Well,
but I'm not brushed up on those.
Well, okay, before we do this, well, who are you in the 8? Let's just get...
I'm Miranda because I feel like I've been preparing for a legal brief with all of this research.
Okay,
I've
yeah.
been like working on a Sunday, which is something that only Miranda would really do.
Yeah, except counterpoint, I'm thinking I'm Hannah today.
Oh, right.
Because I was on my laptop. I wouldn't say I was super productive, but I was kind of within the cybernets today. In bed all day.
Yes.
Until
she
now.
is a
It's
queen
4
of
p.m.
that.
Yeah. And I spent the day in town.
In town? I thought you spent the day in bed.
By town, I meant bed.
The town that is your bed.
The town of bed.
It felt like a town because you were
It felt like a town because there
exploring
were
so many
different
aspects.
There
of
were
the
different
world.
regions and
Yeah.
roads and commerce.
Rivers and roads.
Rivers, roads. There were little pieces of dirt. Anyway, so you're babbling about the Twilight Saga.
Twilight Saga.
And
films and some of the
Okay.
books.
Easy now.
I just
girl.
don't want any of the avid readers to
Okay.
say, you don't remember it, right? 'Cause I don't.
Well, listen loud and listen good. I read them. Mm-hmm. That was what I did. Because I think where we need to start...
a long time ago.
Yeah, long time ago.
Mm-hmm.
We need to start with, like, the context of who we were to Twilight when Twilight was coming out.
Who we were to Twilight.
Who we were to Twilight. Who
and we were important
Twilight
to
thought
Twilight.
of it. We were.
Yeah.
Well,
They
I
needed
was. Because
us.
let me paint a scene quick. The books come out. Everyone's reading them. They were... I don't have it pulled up the date that the first book was published, but I was a freshman in high school, as were you, when the first movie came out. Is that correct?
That is.
So the books were coming out like freshman year of high school.
I know the last book came out the summer of before the movie was released.
Oh, okay.
2008.
Okay, so the books were all out
By
right
August
as we were
2008.
entering high school, basically, and like. It was still a little bit murky in my corner of the sky in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, what these books were. Like, I boldly bought all 4 of them, hardcover from Barnes & Noble, just like sight unseen.
You are a dedicated buyer.
I'm a deadhead in that way. And they have...
The cover art got you.
Well, I was going to say, though, the cover art was lovely.
It was beautiful.
I thought the apples were lovely.
Yes.
The apple.
The apple, and then it's like a flower.
It's a red and white flower.
ribbon.
And then there's a chess piece, I think, and a red ribbon.
Right, I think that's the one where she loses her virginity or something, because it's like
Breaking Dawn.
breaking hymen. The red ribbon.
I'm still not over hymen. Like, is that really...
I guess.
Tea?
Yeah, supposedly.
Did yours?
Not during the act of sex,
Okay.
because I grew up kind of horseback riding, and so a lot of girls who grew up horseback riding, I guess they're, I don't know. I have no memory of it.
It's interesting there isn't more horse stuff going on in these movies and
Yeah,
books.
she would
ride
a
a
horse girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You were a horse girl.
My mom is a horse girl.
And a horse girl is a girl who likes horses.
Likes horses
Okay.
and maybe even has the privilege of riding them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, but I don't think like my grandma had a horse farm and rode competitively. I don't know, based on what I've heard colloquially, if I would have called her a horse girl, though.
I think she was.
She was?
She had horses.
Okay. Yeah, she did.
That's like, it doesn't get
Much
more
horsey.
horsier.
Horsey.
Yeah.
There's a Pokemon called Horsey. There's a seahorse.
Oh.
That's a whole other thing. So anyway, the books are
Wait,
important.
isn't it crazy though that seahorses and horses like have the same face structure? Like, that is weird.
I swear to God that had not crossed my mind.
I think it's the weirdest thing ever.
That is fucking insane.
I need to look into that.
Is that why it's called seahorse then?
I imagine.
And you know seahorses like are... What is it about them? They're like trans? Like they can change?
Yeah, the men can be pregnant.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Or
So that
they're
means
no
it
gender.
is possible. That means like in Jurassic Park when they look at the frog, like they need to study the seahorse so that the man can get pregnant.
Science.
I need to get pregnant. But I don't want to have a kid or be pregnant. I just want to get fertilized.
Yeah.
So anyway, the books are expensive. That cost me like $120 to buy those 4 books as freshman of high school. And I read them like in the corner of this all-boys high school in Milwaukee. And I read them all. I didn't think they were that good. Mm-hmm. I'll allow you to jump in before I keep going, but I have a lot more to say on just like the broader context of entering this conversation.
Yeah. I read them at the same time as you. I read them the summer of 2008. So before the movies came out
Fall
and
of
before I
2008.
went to high school. And I was a really slow reader. Mm-hmm. So they were kind of the first books I read for fun.
Yeah.
Like, outside of school. So I owe the Twilight books everything because without them I wouldn't be
That taught
reader.
you how to read.
And no, it taught me how to read. I learned that reading could be fun. And in that way, I really loved them. Because it was just an epic love story.
Did you read Harry Potter?
After.
Okay.
Yeah.
This
because Harry Potter was introduced to me when my peers were able to read Harry Potter, but I was not able to like keep up with them.
Because
and I
you
couldn't
were
read Harry
slow?
Potter. I was slow.
Okay.
I was like, I don't know, some
Wow,
learning
that's-
disabilities were diagnosed.
Doesn't
but
sound like you.
I was
I mean,
kind
no
of
shade.
resented Harry Potter because like everyone was like, these books are amazing.
Yeah.
They're perfect. I was like, well, I don't have time to read them because I have to read like this
The
homework.
ABCs.
Yeah. This homework.
Sorry. No, but this is interesting. And to me, this is really like my angle into this conversation because Twilight for me has always been in a contrast to Harry Potter. Because I grew up reading Harry Potter from a young age. I think I started when I was like, no shade to you and your journey on reading, but like I was like 8 reading the Harry Potters.
I would have resented you for that had we known each other.
And then I lost out on other things because of that. Like I was reading away, and that was mainly what I was doing at that time. Which now I wish I was still like that, but I'm not.
You can always get it back.
I'd like to get it back, but basically, I have a quite competitive. When I become a blind loyalist to something, such as Harry Potter or Lady Gaga, or like those are probably my 2 biggest, Harry and Lady. And once I have attached as like a worshiper, the idol.
It's true. You won't even let me speak slightly negative about Gaga.
No, I won't.
Even though it's always
And
with
it's not
respect
okay.
and wanting
I
to
know,
hold
and
her
you're
to
a little
higher
monster
standard.
as
I'm a
hell.
big monster.
You're a big
little
monster.
monster.
You're a big monster.
But you won't even hear it.
I can't hear it. And then, so for me, I bring this all up to say, like, Twilight in the culture was compared to Harry Potter. They were kind of like compared. And to me, I was like, fuck Twilight. Like, Harry Potter needs to be setting the box office records and needs to be. And so I was like, that was a big part of it. I was like, they cannot break the box office opening weekend record. Like that's where I was at. And New Moon, we'll get to it, did break some of Harry's records.
It did, yeah. Harry won in the end.
Harry
and
won
that's why I never really thought of it as competing. I was like, these are their own
never
thing.
was a
Like,
competition.
it never was a competition.
It wasn't. Harry was bigger. I'm sorry.
Harry was bigger. Harry is a Bildungsroman, and
What's that mean
Twilight,
again?
it's like a hero's journey from
Oh,
a young
yeah.
age.
Yeah,
to
yeah,
like a
yeah.
young hero's journey. And Twilight is like barely it's mainly a love story. There is
Yeah.
barely any growth with Bella over the.
Does Bella grow?
I
You could
think she
argue
does.
because she
Only in
becomes a
Breaking-
vampire.
Yeah, I think she grows when she becomes a vampire.
But even when she's a vampire, she's like basically doing her beat.
her thing.
Yeah.
Her thing.
She is such an interesting character in the
She's
sense that she's so not interesting.
Exactly.
But yeah, so basically I just needed to say that and
Mm-hmm.
like get that off my chest. Like I only watched the Twilights for the first time for this. Except for the first one I had maybe seen once in passing, but like I was like, I won't watch them. Like that is against Harry Potter and that's taking away from their box office revenue. And I like, even though I read the books, like I knew the story. So I wasn't ignorant, but I was just like, this is not be happening. Emma Watson needs to be the one. Like I couldn't handle it.
Oh my god, Emma and Bella couldn't be. I mean, Hermione and Bella couldn't be more different.
They're the opposite.
They're opposite,
They're the two
basically.
opposite people.
Yeah.
So yeah, you saw the movies though when they came out.
I read all the books in that summer, and reading 4 books in one summer was like that changed my life.
Yeah.
I didn't think that was possible.
So that woke you up to reading.
It really
that
did.
gave you your love
and then
of literature.
Harry Potter continued.
And
my love of
Harry-
reading.
oh my
and
God,
then
Harry.
I evolved past children's books.
Well, by the end of Harry, we're not in children's lit anymore.
It's
I'm
true.
sorry, and
It
I hate when
gets
people try and be
really-
like, "It's children's lit."
It's true. It's true.
I know.
It's young.
But I'd say up until like book 4, we're reading kids' books.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then the movies came out. Those were awesome to me. And I think in general, the books and the movies spoke to me because I was like a bit of an outsider. And this series kind of suggests that you will be rewarded for being an outsider with love, the greatest gift.
Yeah.
So there was something very aspirational. I wasn't getting any action in high school.
Neither
so
was I.
these were like really fun, movies to watch and complete fantasy.
This is the crux of like my whole thoughts about it, is that it taps into this female desire perspective that was mostly not being addressed in like franchise stuff, and it capitalized. And this is honestly a negative critique, and unfortunately I am going to be saying some negative critiques in here, knowing that this is an institution and like there's some heaven going on. They can handle, but like basically I'm going to save this for when we get to the later films to go more in depth, but they capitalized on this outsider feeling that a lot of young girls and gay boys, and probably straight boys too, have of like feeling alone, not having love, and feeling like you're quiet, and then the idea that you'll just still get this perfect dream love story. Which I then wonder, it's like, were we depressed that that didn't happen for us? I mean, and we were promised that in a sick way.
Where does our depression come from in adulthood?
Yeah.
This place and so many other places.
Yeah, root cause.
I do think I think you also grow up though and you realize you don't want this love. Like you kind of grow up and realize like their relationship is scary.
It's
and,
really
like, the logistics
unhealthy.
Of being with a vampire are exhausting and too complicated.
And not even the vampire part, but just like the dynamic.
Of course.
Being
super
like
unhealthy.
That's it. That's the only thing about Bella, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Is that she loves Edward.
Exactly.
Like, name another quality of hers.
She's clumsy.
She's clumsy. Oh my God, how good. That is her number
one.
Even above
trait,
Edward, it's like Bella will fall over on a staircase.
Bella be falling.
Bella fell.
Yeah.
Which is important at the end of book and movie one.
Yeah,
Bella fell.
Should we get into the first film then?
Yeah. So, first film / book. But we are going to be focusing more on the film side of things.
Yes.
Is called
Twilight. Just straight up.
Straight?
Yes.
Want to paint the scene a little bit? I'm noticing you have some names written there.
I do.
Can we get those stats?
Oh, yeah. Let's get some stats for the film. I'm going full film. This came out November 21st, 2008. Which is 2 weeks after Obama was elected. Isn't that an interesting piece of context?
It is nice to have the politics angle.
And also 2 weeks after gay marriage was legalized in California.
Oh, I thought gay marriage didn't happen until a lot later than that.
Well, in California.
Okay. Didn't realize Cali was ahead
of the curve.
Okay.
Classic.
Right. I didn't even know that.
And also, though, in the context, not all good vibes, financial crisis occurring.
Yeah. Yeah,
and then I just thought this was an interesting point, too, that the big movie of 2008 was Dark Knight, and that came out in the summer of 2008. So that was kind of like the film context.
Shit, I'm wondering what won Best Picture, because Dark Knight didn't, because it was famously, like, the Oscars were deeply impacted by Dark Knight not getting nominated for Best Picture, and that's why they expanded it from 5 nominees to 10. Or like, sliding scale.
Yeah.
2000. So that.
So those are some context. It's directed by Catherine Hardwicke, who I have only good things and many good things to say about her. I think this is the best film in the Twilight series. Easily. Easily.
It's separate from the others.
And her directing style is amazing. Like, she brought such a grittiness and such a vibe to the films that they really lost. And
with the handheld camera. Yep. Have you seen 13 by her? Yeah.
Yes.
So that is an amazing movie.
It's an amazing movie. She also worked with Nikki Reed on that, which is kind of how I think Nikki Reed wound up in this movie.
Nikki Reed plays Rosalie. And Rosalie's in 13?
Yeah, she is the main girl. And she co-wrote 13. Nikki Reed, when she was like a teenager.
Oh, you're fucking kidding me. Oh, it's her and Evan Rachel Wood.
Evan Rachel Wood.
If anyone hasn't seen. Okay, so just Slumdog Millionaire was the Best Picture winner, just to give us that. Yeah, Catherine Hardwicke is a really good director. What'd you just say?
Jai-ho.
Jai-ho. Jai-ho. Jai-ho.
So, what I love about the plot, I mean, first of all, this movie takes place in a spring semester of junior year of high school, which I thought was so crazy. She transfers in the spring, and all this goes down before the end of the year. which is bonkers.
It happens in just a matter of months. I know. It's
Matter of months.
interesting because you'd almost be like, wouldn't she want that Christmas setting for halfway through the book? You know? But no.
No, things have to happen fast because that's the point. This is, based on Romeo and Juliet loosely.
Oh, is it?
It's apparently Stephanie Meyer's had like a different book in mind. I don't think it really works, but this one is kind of based on Romeo and Juliet. Just in that it's like young,
Star-crossed,
obsessive, star-crossed lovers. There's violence involved.
It would have been stronger if she had leaned more into that. I'm realizing,
totally.
If there had been two warring families or something. Well, I mean, I have a lot of thoughts just about the premise of this world, but so in case anyone for some reason hasn't read or seen Twilight, we should just
First of all,
and still chooses to listen to this.
Yeah, but
basically Bella Swan,
clumsy, awkward, junior in high school,
played by Kristen Stewart,
transfers to Forks,
Washington,
to live with her dad, the police chief.
Yes.
Charlie.
Who's probably the strongest actor in the cast, in my opinion.
Film. He's definitely in my older age now, the one I'm like the most attracted
the hottest guy in the films.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Robert Pattinson's hot, but so maybe not easily, but I would choose Charlie.
He kind of is off-putting, Robert, with all of his like furrowed brow acting.
Yes, but like there's basically never been a gag like Robert playing Edward and like bodying that look.
Yeah. He was not considered when it was released that he was going to be playing Edward. The main feedback from fans was that he was not hot enough.
It's so insane. Because like that's the thing. I don't think at that time, no shade to Rob, who I think is a great actor, but going into Twilight, I don't know that I would say his acting is what was the thing. I think it was the look.
And I actually
Cedric
think
Diggory.
that, he apparently auditioned for this. Kristen was attached already.
Chrissy got tatchy.
She was attached. And Catherine Hardwicke invited Robert Pattinson over to her house in Venice Beach to audition with Kristen Stewart. And they did the scene on the bed where they kiss. And then that is how he booked it.
Back from it. Mm-hmm. How did he fly back from the bed?
I don't know if he flew back, but the fact that the audition was the two of them rolling around on her bed together.
Was that Kristen's like personal bed?
No, on Catherine's
bed. And was that when they first met? Do you happen to know? That was when Rob and Kay.
Yes, first met.
Which is basically the Brad and Angie of our time.
Exactly.
Like,
and not as controversial as a getting together, though.
You mean because no Jen Ann?
Yeah. They were just young.
They were young
actors, and both huge stars now.
Did you? Yeah, crazy. I mean, did you know either of them before Twilight?
I knew Cedric Diggory. And I knew Kristen from that movie Safe Room.
I haven't seen that.
She was a kid in that with Jodie Foster.
Oh, I love Jodie.
Yeah, she was really good in that as a child.
She's in a movie called Catch That Kid with Corbin Bleu and Max Theriot.
Never
that
seen.
I knew her from.
Adding it to the list.
Put it on. I recall it being good.
Yeah. Edward, an 100-something-year-old vampire. Like, he was born in 1901. Let that sink in. Like, this is also, I'm just gonna come out and say, like, I'm a pretty strong Team Jacob.
What?
I know. Not more in concept than in reality.
Oh, yeah. I mean, on paper, it should be Jacob.
On paper, it is Jacob for me.
But no, because we're those heart-sick girls who follow our heart at all costs.
I know, but my heart, I think, would lead you to
Jacob.
The werewolf rather than the vampire. But this is coming from the paper. This is coming from the books, really. Because, like, a 100-something-year-old man is so unsexy to me.
Not to me.
Anyway, he falls for her because her blood calls to him more than any other human's blood.
It tastes good.
He imagines it would taste good. He can only smell it. And he can't read her thoughts. And he can read, one of his superpowers is he can read everybody's thoughts, but he can't read her thoughts. So she's mysterious to him. So...
Anyway, sorry. So, okay, you're Team Jacob because you would choose... in theory.
In theory.
In the books. When you read the books, you were Team Jacob.
Yeah, because Jacob, I think, kind of loves her as much as Edward does.
Yeah, and
It's also kind of impossible to compare those, how much someone loves you. Everyone loves differently. But Jacob, to me, is hotter because, first of all, he's a werewolf.
Yeah, which is really hot.
And his connection to, nature and animals and also, the culture he comes from and all that ancient wisdom, I think that is sexier than being a stuck-up vampire.
Now that you put it that way, and I guess when I was reading the books, I too probably was leaning that way, except I always ended up on Edward. I think ultimately because it's kind of funny they even created these teams when there was never really any question about who she would end up with.
Yeah, it was all very clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her heart was always with Ed.
Always.
Even in New Moon, I would argue.
Yeah, I mean, if you're the runner-up, that's not really winning completely.
Oh, there's a car passing. Geek. And now, we've basically... I was always Team Edward.
Mm-hmm. As most people are.
Yeah.
And even, I listened to a Taylor Lautner interview.
You did?
And
recently?
A while ago. He was on Call Her Daddy.
He was? Damn, she's getting every guest.
How did she
do it? How did she nab the one and only?
He was on with his wife, whose name is Taylor. So both of their names now that they're married is Taylor Lautner.
Why wouldn't she keep her maiden?
I don't know. But even she, in the interview...
Two Taylor Lautners.
Yeah, two Taylor... It's Lautner. Holy shit. Which I think is so sweet.
It's
the whole
Lautner.
World says his name wrong, and he doesn't correct people, really. But he kind of gets into
doesn't really
it on
have
the interview.
the kahunas
To do that.
He's always kind of been a passive bottom.
Yeah. He also, though, I bring up the interview because his wife and him both said they were Team Edward. The passive bottomness of it all.
What are you talking about? Even the wife?
Even the wife.
The girl Taylor Lautner said
the
that?
female Taylor Lautner.
Taylor Lautner too?
Is Team Edward.
God, that must have been a hard pill for other Taylor Lautner to swallow.
Except then he said, no, I'm Team Edward.
What was their reasoning, though? Just because Edward's
They just
hotter?
are he's better for Bella, and Taylor is not.
Better for?
I know.
I'm sorry, Bella is fucked. She's gonna
She gets pretty fucked up.
She ends up, They flirt with the whole curse of being a vampire and living immortally.
Yes.
They talk about how that's hell, but then, spoiler alert, she becomes a vampire then, and she's going to be immortal, and, that is a hell. Even if you are with the love of your life and you're beautiful and young, you... At some point, it's time to die.
I agree, and there's a character that I want to highlight later who has this belief and showcases it.
Is that within this first film? Save it. We have a
Dawn.
lot to cover.
It's later.
So
it's way later.
We
can't jump ahead to the Breaking.
No, I don't want to jump. So let's start going in now that we've laid this groundwork into the beats of Catherine Hardwicke's 2008.
Twilight.
Very beautiful, stylish, and unique film, Twilight. Yes. Yeah. It opens with a line.
Oh, it's something about dying for the one you love.
It goes like this. I've never given much thought to how I would die, but dying in the place of someone I love seems like a pretty good way to go. And there's a deer.
Which is Romeo and Juliet of it all.
Oh, wait. It is?
Yeah.
Jules says that?
Wait, I guess in Romeo and Juliet they don't die in the place. They die because they don't have.
They die because they're, idiots and miscommunicating.
They're idiots.
Romeo and Juliet were pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Who didn't tell about the sleeping potion?
It's the
maid.
No, it's the apothecary. He fucks it up.
Oh, the apothec is to blame.
He is to blame.
Which basically is always what it comes down to.
Doctors.
Doc-ock.
Yeah.
Anyway, there's a deer that's grazing, and I just had this hypothesis that, like, the deer is kind of the central, actual main character of this franchise.
Well, Bella is the deer.
Bella's the deer, the
Yeah.
fragile little deer.
Yes.
Doe-eyed.
Sweet brunette.
The camera's already shaking, baking, cracking, flacking around.
Yeah, it is.
It's handheld.
It's super handheld. I also, I love how grounded in Forks this is. Like, you can tell it's filmed on location. It's not a green screen.
Thank God. Which
what
will be
really
what
becomes
comes.
a huge
The
issue.
franchise becomes a green
It
screen.
becomes a green screen. And I was listening to an interview with Catherine Hardwicke, and she said she wanted to inspire a love of nature in this film. And that's also why she made Bella a vegetarian in the movie.
Bella want veg in Boo?
No. Bella was not vegetarian.
Boo.
And that's why there are all those weird, crazy side scenes with the science teacher and the trip to the greenhouse.
Oh, yeah. That looks
composting.
exactly like Harry Potter, the greenhouse.
The greenhouse. Yeah.
Mandrakes.
Amazing.
Alice in that scene. I'm jumping ahead, but...
What?
Well, I was just going to say Alice. This is jumping ahead. There's a character named Alice. She's one of the vampires. And her and Jasper, another of the vampires, are having a conversation in that greenhouse scene. I was going to bring up, what do you think they were fake talking about? Because they're just, like, giggling in the background.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably how much Edward is falling for this girl. Because, like, he's, like, really mad at himself for, like, not being able to just drop it.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Bella.
as soon as he sees Bella, he's farting it.
He's farting.
And he's looking... Because Bella shows up to school.
Yes.
You see her dad. One thing about Charlie, he doesn't hover. We learned that Charlie doesn't hover.
Which is awesome.
Which is
when you're a
heaven.
teenage girl.
But their conversations are the only way that people speak. Like, when it's like, your hair's gotten longer. And then she goes, I've cut it since the last time I saw you. And he goes, I guess it grew out again.
Yeah,
like,
they have real
that's
conversations.
real.
Yeah. Also, when she gets in her room and he's like, I painted it purple. And she goes, purple's cool.
I know, like that. This movie was grounded.
It was grounded
Which
in
is
reality.
why it's so crazy the spectrum we will be going on today.
Exactly.
This movie is real and it's textured with real life and you can really like feel like you're Bella.
Yeah.
Of course she's like a supermodel.
And the
but...
side characters feel very high school
Yes,
to
yes,
me.
yes.
Like they talk about in a weird way and like they're
my
always,
favorite characters
they're the
in the whole
best.
franchise,
All of
actually,
her
is
friends. I mean,
Anna Kendrick.
Scrappy
She's
little
so
nobody.
good.
She is so good.
She's funny.
She's funny, and this movie needs a little humor.
She's like just having fun. Everyone else is
Yeah.
really somber and weighed down by the rains of Seattle or Forks, Washington.
She's thriving.
But Anna's like, boob, my boob popped out. Like, and we're gonna get to
No,
the scene
she-
you've previously shown to me
Oh yeah, when she
because I went back.
sunbathing.
Yeah,
Yeah, her acting is crazy. She's bouncing.
she's bouncing and she's swiveling,
exactly.
and it doesn't stop,
It
even when
doesn't
you think
stop.
it's time for it to stop.
And like, it's just brilliant. Her effervescence.
Oh, one thing I just wanted to say is Bella goes, "Oh, right, one bathroom," and it's like,
Oh, that's
are you
crazy?
a fucking spoiled child? Like that doesn't fit your. You're not supposed to be spoiled.
Exactly.
But you're
I
like-
do think if you're a teenage girl sharing a bathroom with your dad, it's like
Yeah.
hell.
Yeah.
Because it's like
Okay.
any day
I forgot.
you could be getting
Your
your
period. I forgot about period. Period. Mm-hmm. Jacob has long hair at the beginning.
Jacob
and is
has
so
a
much
wig
cooler and
and is
hotter.
the coolest,
I think,
yeah.
when he has long hair.
Yeah, and he's like awkward. Like
And
he's
trans.
kind of
Yeah, he's
shy
awkward.
guy.
No, he's a good actor there.
Yeah, he turns into a hyper confident, jokey, kind of sassy
Yeah.
tool. in a
Well,
way.
he has to bulk up for the second movie too, which
Yeah.
this is a slight jump, but apparently they were going to recast him for the second movie because they were like, he's not buff enough, and then he like buffed it up.
He buffed it up.
But then he lost his charm.
Yeah, exactly. As happens when people get buff.
Always.
Yes.
I've never met a buff person who retained their charm.
No, drains from their body.
It drains, which is why I've chosen to not go that route.
Same. Like, to keep the charm, please.
So I have written down, she farts when she gets the car and squeezes out a poop and whacks Jacob.
She farts when she does.
She gets
fart
a car.
when she gets the car. Not literally.
No, but like the faces she's making, there's no other way to put it. Like a lot of her facial expressions in this franchise are fart and poop.
And that's good acting.
It is.
I think she's
not
is
afraid
a
to
great actor,
be.
by
So
the
do
way.
I.
Let me just say, she's great as Bella.
Although for me, it clicked into a different gear when I saw Spencer.
Oh, yes.
Like I had always been like Kristen Stewart. I mean, she was mocked for this.
Of course.
She was mocked for this.
One thing I really appreciate about her, though, is she took this role very seriously.
Yeah.
And even towards the end when it got crazy.
Yeah.
And like,
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Like, she really talks about like taking it seriously up until the end and like being super driven. And like if she didn't feel it, she would like call cut and be like, we need to go again. Like the authenticity isn't there.
Wow.
So that
she's
says
a
a lot.
really good actor and
Yeah.
artist and hard worker.
Yeah. And I think she like was able to keep Robert Pattinson engaged in a way that without her, it
'Cause-
could have been a disaster.
Well, because he famously was like, this is so stupid.
Yes.
Right.
But he will never talk like that in interviews when they're together.
Right,
He
because-
only talks like that when she's not in an interview with him.
Oh my God. Because did they start dating like as soon as they started shooting?
Yeah,
basically?
pretty
Yeah.
much. Mm-hmm.
And then
they
they were
stayed
fucking.
together through the end.
Do you think the crew and cast were uncomfortable watching them just like fuck and kiss and be so deeply in love knowing it was real?
I don't know.
I
Part of me
think it's
thinks it's like train wreck. Like you kind of like love watching that kind of stuff.
Well, I
'Cause,
kind
like,
of
how
think
many
the whole
times on
thing
the
doesn't
street-
work if they didn't date in real life while it was happening.
I
Honestly.
mean, it's certainly
like it
yeah.
wouldn't be what it was.
No, it's very powerful.
Yeah.
Their chemistry is undeniable.
Yeah. And
The
that's what
kiss
sells
scene
it.
in
The bed.
the bed.
That's their first kiss.
It's
yeah.
their first kiss, and it's such a good scene. He shows up in her room unannounced while she's sleeping.
And he's been doing that for months.
Yes, he has.
And finally reveals I stand over and watch.
Yeah.
Which this is like it's the ultimate pornographic like fantasy of
Exactly.
someone owning you sexually. Like it is like it's the ultimate porn.
Yeah.
Ultimately.
It's a very unhealthy, but it's hot, as many hot things are.
And because they can't fuck because he would kill her if he did.
Yes.
That helps sustain it as like all this foreplay.
Yes.
And make it not actually just a full-on like cocky boys porn.
Yeah,
Because
it's hot. Restraint makes things hotter.
restraint
That's
makes
why
it
period
hotter,
pieces
and there's a
are hot.
reason that it's restrained.
Yes.
Because he would kill her.
Safety. Safety is the reason.
Safety first.
But I love that kiss scene because there's no cuts. Like, Catherine Hardwicke is so comfortable just, like, hand-holding the camera
There's those hands again.
and letting it roll. Like, the kissing and sex scenes towards the later films are so hyper-cut that I'm like, they could be playing
know.
poker.
The less cuts, the better.
Yes.
I'm always realizing these days.
In
'Cause it's like,
sex
let's
and
get the
kiss
real...
scenes.
In sex and kissing.
Yes.
Sometimes you need a good cut
Sometimes.
in a montage.
Of course.
But...
And Catherine's not afraid to cut when it's like action and, you know,
Yeah.
she puts crazy cuts together.
she's almost like a collage artist.
Eisenstein, right?
Eisenstein?
He's like, it's a style of editing where you like put two images next to each other or something.
Oh.
Put two, like you show one. I actually can't explain
No, but
this.
like it sounds perfect.
You show things that are evocative of something without showing the actual thing. So you show like someone falling down and then you show the reaction of someone seeing them fall down to make it more powerful than just showing the person fall down.
So you still see them fall down, but you also see
No,
the
you
reaction.
might not see
Oh,
them
you just
fall
see
down.
the
You might
reaction.
just see the reaction, and then you see them
And
after
that's
they fell down.
Eisenstein?
Yeah, he's like an old German
Not to be
film
confused
editor.
with Einstein.
Einstein, an old German
Thinker.
physicist.
Oh, he was German too?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Damn, Germany was throwing out the good and the bad.
Same time, too, because Einstein left, right?
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he
Yeah.
left Germany. Because he was Jewish.
And I didn't realize he was in Oppenheimer until the very end. And I turned to Tati next to me and I was like, is that Albert Einstein? Anyway. So Mike, Jessica, Angela.
Yes. Yes.
Them.
They are perfect. They bring a light and a levity, and they also ground the film in high school.
Yes.
Which this film
Needs.
series loses.
Yeah, and is gone after this film, I think. I mean, there's still some...
It's barely a New Moon.
It's still there a little in New Moon, but then basically...
There's no schooling.
Like, are they even remembering that they're supposed to be in high school?
I mean, she graduates in Eclipse.
Oh, okay.
The third film, so...
Angela, who is played by the indomitable, your cousin, the indomitable Christian Cerritos of the House Indomitable. Christian Cerritos won a Young Artist Award for Best Supporting Actress for this. And I actually deserved, like, she is the emotional core of the film when she asks out the guy to prom.
Yeah.
That's like the most moving moment of the film.
It's really cute. And also, I love how Bella sets up both of her best friends with prom dates.
Yes.
Like, she takes these two guys who both like her and finds a way to get them to be with her girlies.
Also, by the way, like, if she hadn't done that, like, she would be a demon in us as the reader's eyes. Like, two guys like you, like, burn in hell.
Exactly. But
like, you're going to match them up with the daughters who needed the love.
She's the
Rise
saint.
to the clouds of heaven.
Because you're just, congrats,
go
you got
through the
sainthood.
Saint, what's a saint? Saint Francis
saint?
Assisi.
Yeah, that's one.
Saint Francis Assisi.
Saint Bella.
Saint Bella of Forks.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Eric's the eyes and the ears.
And I love their side dialogue, like when the girls are talking about stories they can run in the the newspaper, and they're like,
her body language when say it.
Well, they're like, Bella is like, well, what if you talk about like padding on the swim team? And they're like, oh my god, totally. They're like, oh yeah, some guy like totally like Olympic size.
I know. And then they're like, he's so skinny, it doesn't make any sense. But that I actually wrote down because I was like, girl, like, he's so skinny, it doesn't make sense. Go peel the pants off a twink and find out what you're not seeing.
Girl, go peel the pants off a twink. That's your homework, high school student.
Yeah, and then the editorial too, like, her body language, Angela's around when he's like, we can't run the news story about Bella arriving to school. Angela deflates.
Yeah.
And it's like,
she was really excited about that story.
Okay, so Edward and the Cullens show up. This is a family of vampires.
Yes.
Who live in Forks.
Yes.
Outside of Forks.
And as they're described by Anna Kendrick, she says, yeah, Carlisle is some sort of foster dad / matchmaker.
Yeah.
Which is like actually so crazy that, you know.
Yeah, that part they kind of just gloss over.
Yeah,
the fact that the kids are setting
up
together.
his kids to like be partnered for life.
That's one of a few concepts in these books that the more you think it's like, yeah, there's a lot.
No, why are they in high school at all? Like, why are they opting into high school? I know that they say because it's like then they get to stay somewhere longer, but I'm like, arguably you're calling more attention to yourself.
Oh, right. Like, why even go to class?
Why go to school?
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
And
you're
also,
not even making friends. Like,
I don't really understand the whole concept of like, do they have to move every 4 years? The vampires are immortal.
Yeah.
They pretend they're in high school.
Yeah.
They all say they're siblings, but they're also all in couples.
Yes.
There's a dad who's a doctor and a mom named Esme who, unfortunately for me, doesn't quite live up to that name, which was first discovered in a series of unfortunate events with Esme Squalor, who's Count Olaf's girlfriend, who has stiletto knife heels.
I had no idea. I would like to counter and say that she is a wonderfully emotive actor.
I knew this was coming.
And when when Bella comes over to the Cullens house for the first time for pasta, she goes, Bella, we were making Italiano for you.
I love that.
When how she says Italiano.
And that's her first time speaking.
Yeah, and she didn't win you over?
That no,
Confusion
I do like
has
the
set
actress.
in.
She's in this other thing called Haunting of Hill House. I
And
think.
don't you mean Grey's Anatomy
Never
as well?
saw.
Oh, she's a star.
She's in Grey's?
Yeah, she has a multi-season arc.
Ew.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, not to be a bitch, but I feel that the styling and the makeup and the hair on the vampires, how do I put it nicely? Like, I needed them to be hotter, like
I think that it is
more
hard
ethereal.
to make like paleness, artificial paleness
Yeah,
hot.
yeah,
without
like
it
they
looking
look
chalky.
They look chalky.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
So that is tough. But
And
I think
Esme-
they're kind of hot, except for like Alice's hair is really weird. It's a fucking weird bob they
Which-
have her in.
Quick side note, you know Tonks from Harry Potter?
Yes.
And how on the 5th book jacket, the blue Order of the Phoenix book jacket, you see the drawing, and Tonks has the spikes of hair. And that's how she's described. She has like spikes poking out of her head, not just like a shag.
Yeah.
In the movie, she has a fucking shag that's not the spikes. And Alice, I pictured as having basically the spikes. And then here we are.
Spikes too hard or something.
Actually, she kind of spiked a little bit in this, but then in later movies, she grows her hair out. Whatever. That's just a whole private war I'm fighting.
With the
Regarding the
elimination
Tonks
of
thing,
spikes.
specifically, Tonks is supposed to have spikes, and they were like too afraid to like
that's
give
fucked up.
someone
I'm
like
sorry they did
gelled
that to
out
you.
spikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, I would have rather seen like Tilda Swinton.
Yeah.
Basically, is what I'm trying to say.
Of course.
Yeah.
Always.
Like a striking,
Yes.
ethereal, which like same with Rosalie, not to be a bitch.
I like Nikki Reed.
I like Nikki Reed's acting.
She plays a bitch really well.
Her
which is
hair
what
just
you
needs to
need.
be sleeker.
All the wigs are messed up.
The wigs, it's the wigs. And it's
They're
no,
messed
I'm
up.
not shaming anyone's look. They're all beautiful, but like, they're vampires. Like, they need to be a little bit more cunted looking.
I agree with regards to their fashion, especially.
Okay, so before we get further into the plot, it's important to note, what's up, Arizona? How you liking the rain, girl?
A great example of some side dialogue.
Flapping
and
his wet
delivery.
hat onto her. Did you notice
Yeah.
that?
Yeah. Making it rain.
Making it rain.
No, the way he says, how you liking da rain.
He's a really good actor.
He's a great actor.
He's really good. He looks like the girl from Hereditary, who gets her head blasted
Oh,
off.
yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
Similar eyes.
Yeah. They emote.
They emote.
And they spell doom.
Deep wells, yeah.
Yeah, because he won't get what he wants.
He never gets
He'll
Bella.
settle for Anna.
Yeah. Sad.
But I bet they had good boob stuff at prom night.
I bet he got some boob action.
She wanted those things out and about.
Whoever did her costume, they had her in like
Booba.
a giant push-up bra or something.
Or she's just naturally rocking the milk.
Or she's naturally
the milk,
rocking milk.
um,
But the cut is
factory.
so low, too. Like the cut of all her shirts are
Well, the
so
dress
low.
purchasing scene, I guess we're jumping.
So they go prom dress shopping in
That's maybe my favorite
Port
scene.
Angeles.
In Port Angeles.
Well, because Paramore Decode is playing over the prom dress
Decode.
shopping, which is a great opportunity to speak about how great the soundtrack is.
Yeah, let's talk. Well, Decode for me, again, I was like completely like Twilight, no, box office, no, Harry Potter. But Decode broke through to me, and that song was in my rotation.
Yeah.
How do we get here? I used to know you so well.
The soundtrack is so moody, is alt rock, is like a big budget film having an alt rock soundtrack. That was cool
I know.
of them to do.
No, this movie was bold. It wasn't what you would have expected, the first one.
And also, something interesting about this movie is no one thought it would make money.
Okay, so walk
That's
me
why
through that
That's
psychology.
why Summit Entertainment got it, because none of the big
Summit took
Yeah,
it. Because I had written down...
Paramount
wrote a
they-
different script where Bella was a star athlete.
Yeah.
And
failed.
then-
they missed the plot.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's so crazy.
No, this movie
How did they think it wouldn't? It was
cost
already
$37 million to make, and it made $392.5 million.
Holy shit. But how did they not know the books were bestsellers?
Because people are idiots. Like, people didn't think romance novels where like that's the biggest
Yeah.
thing in literature right now.
Is romance.
Romance. And like people like
This tapped into
because men are in charge and have been
Yeah.
in charge of Hollywood, and they are scared of female desire. And like the way my uncle talked to me about these films was so annoying because he was like, these are unhealthy depictions of love and everything. And I was like, yeah, it is, but like I like what I like, and so many other girls do. Like you can't.
Well, this is a fundamentally female and human longing. This sort of like unattainable yet somehow found love. It taps into this fundamental thing that most books have never even bothered to deal with,
Right.
which is like this loneliness, this young girl's loneliness, and also there's something kind of like suburban housewife about it, almost just like about women who are not like typically celebrated as glamorous, getting to have this fairy tale.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's cool.
And that's widespread. And I think that they underestimated just how many people are dealing with that. I have to turn on the fan. Well, I have more to say on this concept, but I'm going to save it for when we get to Breaking Dawn, because there's a dark side to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, the soundtrack.
The soundtrack is amazing. We have Paramore. We have Muse. We have Linkin Park.
Did I see Cocktail?
Radiohead.
Oh yeah, the the end of the movie.
Yeah.
We'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
That is unreal. Flightless Bird is in this, yeah?
It's true, yes.
Iron and Wine.
Iron and Wine. Oh yeah, that's not on here.
In the later films, we're going to get to some composers who are really major.
Yeah.
I mean, just since we're here.
I also think, though, this film score for this film is a choice, but it's so bold. It's that electric guitar that goes...
Yeah.
Like over and over and over. It's like this
sound is
moody
so
electric guitar that's
cool.
always like kind of...
And weird.
Weirding out.
There's also a weird piano theme that's like the Bella's lullaby
theme.
or whatever, and like
Yeah.
that is like an unusual.
I know. I heard it today. So.
I don't know her like that,
Yeah. Well.
but
And Debussy, Claire de Lune.
Oh, when he
she
goes
goes to his house,
what does he say? He's like,
it's Debussy.
it's Debussy. I was
That's all
like,
he
I
says.
need that like tattooed on me.
Yeah, it's Debussy.
It's Debussy. I need him to say that to me. Wait, I lost where I am in my notes. Bella's a klutz. Her superpower, because every vampire has a superpower,
Yeah.
I always thought would be like she can make other people trip or something.
Oh,
in the
completely.
end.
Like she can bring
Like that was set
chaos.
up. Yeah.
That was a clear setup, but they wanted to give her something like more awesome than everyone else's powers, which is undeserved in my
It's
opinion.
not really fair.
Yeah. What would your superpower be if you were a
Oh,
vampire?
well, this is my favorite part of the.
If you were turned into a vampire, theoretically, one
Yeah.
of your traits that you already possess
Yeah.
is able to get amplified to the point of being a superpower.
Yeah, which
in vampire
to me
hood.
is my favorite idea Stephanie Meyer, the author, had in. Because I think I have some issues with vampires being basically superheroes. Like, I would almost rather they weren't, like, super speed and super strong. That feels like a little much to me. Or the speed thing, at least, especially.
It would just be a whole different series.
It would be
if they didn't have
different.
those
I know.
powers.
But it's kind of like a superhero thing in that way.
completely.
But what I really love is how each vampire has their own unique power, even though she doesn't really divulge what all of their powers are.
I don't think all of them have it.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think a
'Cause,
gift
like, what's
is a gift.
Rosalie's?
Yeah, I don't think Rosalie has a gift.
Emmett is super strong. Alice can see the future.
Yeah.
Which Alice is the pink print. We'll need to pick apart Mrs. Al. Edward can read minds.
Yeah, I don't think Carlisle has one.
He's like a healer.
Esme doesn't. I think he's just a doctor. I think he's
I need
just
a doctor.
been alive for hundreds of years. It's a
What
lot
would
of
ours be?
expertise.
What would ours be?
I think mine would be something related to like keeping the vibes good, like because I think mine would be related to like because I think humans are like unnerved by vampires. They're like,
Uh-huh.
who are these? Rightfully so.
Yeah.
Stiff, like cold, pale, beautiful, kind of
they're freaked
serious
out.
people. They're intrigued but freaked out. And I think my ability would to be like to put other humans at ease. They're like, no, we're good vibes.
I like that. And actually,
Chill.
mine
you
is...
shouldn't be scared of us.
I have kind of a similar one, basing it... I think that does work for you, because I think you are able to put people at ease as a human. Mm-hmm. I think mine would be the more sinister side of that, which is basically, I think, whatever mood I were in would become what the other people in my vicinity's mood would become.
So mood.
So, like, if I'm, like, pissed off, I
Yeah.
could make everyone around me really angry.
Yeah.
I think that would be my vampire thing, because I actually kind of feel like I inadvertently am already sort of doing that. Like, if I'm in a bad mood, it's really apparent, and, like, I can feel people feeling it.
Yeah. And you can feel yourself bringing them
And I can feel myself bringing the mood down, and then I'm, like, mad that
we as vampires should stick together so
yeah,
that I
because
can
you could up
the mood if you're ever doing some catastrophic mood work.
Alice.
Okay, Alice.
What do you think of Mrs.?
I mean, there is something about her that I do actually love. The way she is quirky and weird, and
In the books, I was obsessed.
No
I was
one
like
liked her.
Alice is the one.
yeah, Ashley Greene is a strange actor. You can tell just from
Yeah.
the way she talks in that role.
Strange
And
in a good way, you think?
I think it
How do
can
you
work,
think
and
she
sometimes
lands?
it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like in the baseball scene when they play baseball in the end.
Yeah, they go play baseball.
The way she pitches, 'cause she's a pitcher.
Yeah,
The way
she does a leg
pitches
extension.
The baseball is like canon now. Like people know that.
Yeah.
So sometimes it works, and other times she's just a little weird.
Yeah, and it doesn't quite land.
Yeah.
She's interesting. Like, I almost, like, want to... Here comes a hearty dose of tea. I'm like, she's so pretty. Like, fuck her.
You wanted her to be...
No, she's supposed to be pretty, and, like...
You also just said earlier you wanted the vampires to all be hotter.
I
all
think
over the
ultimately
map with
I
this
kind of
one.
want to be Alice.
Yeah.
If I'm going to be someone.
Totally.
And that's where I'm getting tripped up.
yeah.
Although I don't want to see the future. No interest in that.
But you do have that quality of drawing that she has. She draws.
Oh,
her
she
visions.
draws?
Yeah, that's how she.
In the book, she draws?
No,
or in the movies,
movie
too?
she draws. Like when
That
she
would be
sees
cool if my
the
superpower was, like,
mirrored room
drawing
at the
something.
end.
Oh, yeah. The
She
ballet
isn't able
studio.
to figure out where she's drawing, but she can draw.
I
it.
forgot about that. Yes.
So, and that's a great B plot that this movie has: the hunting, the rogue vampire clan.
Yeah,
that
which
is hunting,
starts as B and then
becomes
A.
Becomes A.
But
Yeah.
right, so there's 3 other vampires named
Victoria, James, and Laurent.
way to go, kid.
Nailed it. They are hunting.
They
like
are
hikers.
hunting as
They're
well.
Hunting.
James is fucking sexy.
He's the hottest
Yeah.
one.
Oh,
They did a good job with him.
Cam Kijande.
Yeah. Yes.
Kijandit.
Is that his name?
It's that, yeah.
Laurent is hot too.
Laurent is
and
hot, too.
Victoria is hot as well.
Yeah, and that, that they recast her in Eclipse, which is weird. She
is
became
weird.
Bryce Dallas Howard.
She turned into Bryce Dallas Howard.
Okay, so a quick moment I need to address before it gets lost in the ether is Angelica. Is it Angela or Angelica?
Angela.
Angela. I wrote down Angelica here. Is like talking at lunch about how she's wanting Eric, to ask her to prom. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and basically somehow it's like strong, independent woman. Kristen Stewart says to her, like, you're a strong, independent woman. You should ask him. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I am? And that, to me, is the moment.
It's a powerful
You
moment.
know about that.
I know. It's
Yeah.
great. It's amazing. It's amazing all around. It's not, in my opinion, the moment of this film.
What would you say is, or are we going to get to it?
To me, it's when It's not long after, I think, where we are generally in
Okay.
the plot, but when Edward and Bella like hard launch their relationship and they come to school and he's in Ray-Bans.
Yes.
I just love that moment.
I wonder if Ray-Ban sales skyrocketed from there.
I
Not that they
hope.
were ever hurting.
I think they're always
That-
doing just fine. Hence their purpose in that scene.
Yeah, because it's like, we
the
need
Ray-Bans
something we
elevate
can
him.
count on.
Yeah.
We need something we know is going to bring up the mood. And we don't have access to Vampire Natalie yet.
No.
For mood
We did skip over the scene,
Yeah.
the famous scene of when Bella confronts Edward about being a vampire. So
yeah,
that
there's a
is
few
before,
scenes we
yeah.
needed to circle back to, actually. Let's start with that one.
Yeah.
She walks up out of the
She
back
does
of
her
the school.
sleuthing with the help of Jacob. Because Jacob is Native American Culote tribe.
Yeah.
And he tells her about a legend.
Well, because before
Of the
this, they're at
cold
the
ones.
beach, and
La push.
someone's like, why isn't Edward... And a werewolf that we don't know is a werewolf yet is like, the Cullens don't come here.
Yeah.
And then Bella and Jacob are walking, and Bella goes, why did they say the Cullens don't come here? And Jacob goes, you caught that, huh? It's like, yeah, like, we all caught that, Queen. Like, he said it loud and
That is
proud, and
Jacob's,
everyone
like,
heard
issue
it.
throughout the films is he's like always trying to be a smart ass. And it's like, you're not.
But in the first one, he's, like, sweet, and it, like... is charming, and then it becomes just douche.
I have
stupid.
some things written down for later films that
Yeah,
are
same.
horrible.
One thing with the sleuthing that's crucial is Papyrus having her biggest moment today, and should have been a Best Supporting Actress nom.
right,
the
when
font
she's
of Papyrus.
online googling the cold ones.
Yes.
And the website
Crack a
she lands
cold
on
one. Do you
is
wanna wine?
Papyrus font.
She lands on Papyrus.
She lands on a Papyrus font and reads about the cold ones.
Those websites look like heaven. Imagine
Yeah.
visiting a website like
I
that.
also just love the lore of vampires existing in every culture, like every culture having a different version of like this.
This taps
concept.
into, like, the thing about Twilight as a whole saga, as a whole franchise, is like, we all know vampires, and Harry Potter does this too, and there's vampires in that as well. Are there? Yeah.
Are there?
There are, but they're, like, not important. I think they're just, like, mentioned.
Werewolves, of course.
Werewolves are in. But, like, both of these are taking something that everyone knows.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's heard of a vampire and heard of a werewolf. But it's, I mean, I'm going to get chills. Like, I just think it's so exciting when something that is already sort of known is taken and then made into a whole world that, you get what I'm saying?
Yes,
Yeah.
when it's just explored in a new
Explored.
context and light.
And given, like, rules.
Life,
Yeah.
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 So she
Anyway.
confronts him about being a vampire. And some of the best dialogue ever. I mean, like, people, like, reenact this scene all the time.
Well, the lead into the scene is funny, too. She just, like, looks at him and glares and storms up out the back of the school and walks up a hill into the woods.
She,
in front
instead of
everyone.
going to class, just marches into the woods, knowing he will follow. Yeah.
So what is the dialogue there?
It is, well,
Oh, I know what you are.
yeah. And he's like, say it. You're impossibly fast. You're strong. Or what, you know. I can't remember. You don't
Say
come
it.
out in the sun
Say
or
it.
something. And then he's like, yeah, say it. And she goes, you're a vampire.
Vampire.
And then he kind of like has this like tantrum where he's like,
He jumps.
as if I could outrun, you could outrun
And then
me.
he could outrun me!
He's just jumping
He
around
jumps.
trying to scare her away.
It's Debussy.
But it doesn't work because she's a thrill seeker and she's in love with him, and she also is a curious mind.
She is curious.
She doesn't want to live
Give her
in
that.
the you know, a popular kid's life in the sunshine. She wants to know about the monsters.
Oh, by the way, she trips over a root while they're in the woods dealing with that. And I don't know if that was intentional or not, but, like, she completely devoured. It was so good to the character. Did you notice that little trip?
I didn't.
Like, Kristen tripped.
Yeah.
Was that Bella or Kay?
Who's to
To
say?
say. And then he says, as if you could outrun me. And then they're laying in the grass and like...
Well, he takes her on a trip through the trees, and she gets on his back, and he says...
Is this happening now?
He says,
The
hold
line.
on tight, Spider Monkey.
Spider Monkey. Okay, yeah. You better hold on tight, Spider Monkey.
Yeah.
Also, he glitters in the sunlight.
Which is Robert Pattinson chose that line. Catherine Hardwicke brought in a page of lines because she was like, we need some dialogue here. You need to say something. And one of them was, hold on tight, Spider Monkey. And he chose that line.
Do you think he chose that because he was like fucking with them because he's like too cool for school? Or do you think he was like, that is what the character would say?
I think he would. I don't know.
I don't know.
He's a mystery to me.
Do you, to this day,
Yeah, a little bit.
do you like him as an actor?
I
Have you seen him?
do.
Okay. Yeah.
I do. I think he's so good in like Good Time.
Good Time. He's
Yeah.
really good. Yeah.
And I think he's good in this, but I don't always think he's on Kristen's level in this.
No, I mean, you can tell, and it kind of makes me annoyed with boys in general. It's like he's not taking it seriously.
Totally.
And she is, as
She
you've
is.
already outlined for
Yeah.
us.
And one credit to Taylor Lautner is he takes this very seriously.
Yeah. And then at a
So-
certain point, it's like, girl, actually, you need to let your hair
let your
loose
hair
a
down.
little. Like, you're taking
May
it
not
too
be in a wig
seriously.
anymore, but you gotta shake the locks.
But he's
out.
perfectly calibrated in the first film.
Yep.
The vampires glitter in the sunlight, and that kind of just goes away.
That isn't always around, yeah.
Yeah,
they
like,
don't have
sometimes
consistency with
they're
that,
not
which I
just-
don't care. Like,
I don't care
if
either.
We're gonna pull apart.
I would have kind of just pulled
I like
that
it when they
whole
glitter, though.
thing.
It's cool.
I mean, it justifies them living in forks.
Yeah,
Like, but
but then it also doesn't justify all the other vampires we meet later who live like in
Right,
Egypt.
right,
and it's
right,
like, I'm
right.
sorry, isn't that one of
It
the
doesn't-
sunniest places?
I'm sorry,
on
I don't
Earth?
think it looks cool either. Like, it looks like an Instagram filter.
I think it's.
You
It
think
should
it
be an
does?
Instagram filter.
Is it
I
not?
bet it exists.
It definitely does.
Find it.
Okay, so Debussy. Claire de Lune is great. I love Claire de Lune. Spider Monkey. Oh, here. May I say something?
Of course.
So Bella and Charlie, we're finally getting back to our starlet. Mm-hmm. Father Charlotte York. Played here by Kristen Davis in head to toe prosthetics.
Exactly.
So they're in the cafe. Kristen and Dad are having a meal. There's a waitress. There's guys in the cafe asking questions. There's kids from high school dancing outside and kind of like being funny. All of this local texture and color that we're seeing in this scene, which is so great and feels so real, is gone.
Exactly.
In later
And
films.
especially, I love in this scene when she's trying to get ketchup out from the bottle and it's like not coming out. And that's
Yeah.
like not something that would happen in the later
No,
films.
they wouldn't-
Like,
they would've-
But how human is that?
I know.
Struggling with a ketchup
Kristen
bottle
can't get
at
the
a
ketchup
diner.
out?
Yeah.
Wait,
She's
what?
like, like squeezing out air from a
missed
ketchup
That's the most human
Which is
experience.
That's something we all know.
Wait, okay, I have this written down and I need you to remind me what I mean. Mm-hmm. When she says it's time, it's like Karen with her boobs in Mean Girls. Is it Alice? Someone is like, oh no, I remember. It's Alice. They can only play baseball when there's a thunderstorm.
Exactly.
And Alice is like seeing into the future that there's going to be a thunderstorm, except it's already currently raining. And she like looks up the sky and she's like, it's time. And then
Well,
they
maybe
go.
they don't know if there's going to be thunder.
To me, it read like Karen and
yeah,
Mean Girls, where it's
totally.
like there's a 60% chance it's already raining, and it's. I was like, Alice,
does
like,
have a bit of that.
girl, like you're not seeing the future right now. Like we can all see that it's storming.
Exactly. And also, shouldn't you be able to see it a little sooner than that? Like, like maybe you could plan the baseball game like
Right, like you
months
saw the
out.
Vulture coming.
Yeah.
Well, I guess she doesn't see that far ahead.
I
does
think
she?
though their version of the seeing of the future is not everything is written. Like things can change.
Right.
Future changes.
She
all
sees
the time.
ideas.
Because when they're playing baseball, all of a sudden, the Laurent, Victoria, and James all of a sudden hear them and want to come play baseball with them, and that's how
which
they
sets
meet
off
Bella.
the rest of the plot,
James. Really. That's the final act of the movie, which is like, this movie is tight.
Yeah, it is.
Well structured.
It is.
Just when things are going well with Ella and Bedward.
Squidward. Did you mean to say?
Of course, James, the masochistic hunter of a vampire.
Oh, God. Hunt
smells
me down.
Bella and just needs her.
Yeah, because she's got that good blood.
She's got that good blood. And he tracks her down. She decides to go to the place he asked her to go because she thinks he has her mom. And when she says the line, dying in the place of someone you love, she says it again in the end of the movie. She's talking about her mom, which is funny because in the beginning of the movie, you think it's like going to be about Edward.
Yeah.
You're like, dying in the place of someone you love. She's obviously going to talking about Edward.
Yeah.
But,
because that's really her whole personality. To dig deeper into Bella is to just note that, like, she cares about her mom, obviously, as this line is repeated, and her dad, but, like, her character is basically just lovesick to death, needing Edward, and that's basically the only thing about her, except that she's clumsy and, like, a loner.
Yeah.
It's interesting. It's not even shade. It's just like, wow, this character is, like, not a super nuanced or, like...
But I think that that's okay, and that's why she's so successful, because any girl who feels misunderstood, even slightly, or anyone, really, can map themselves onto her. Yeah. Because she is such a blank slate.
Okay, so, yeah, the grungy music, the lo-fi aesthetics, everything.
Yeah, I mean, there's, like, a montage when so Edward does find her. Okay, when James has her in the ballet studio and he's about to kill her, he makes with a camcorder.
Yeah.
He starts recording her.
Like some murder weird, porn thing.
Murder porn, but it's so hot.
It's hot as fuck.
I
would be like salivating hard. I'd be like, keep
I'll
filming.
do whatever you want.
Don't hit stop on the recorder. Before that, I have to say, so Bella, basically what happens is Bella has to run away because James is going to come kill Charlie because he's her dad and he's hunting her. And so she leaves to take the trail away from Charlie. And she is vicious to Charlie in order to...
Which is very Romeo and Juliet.
And Juliet.
Lying to your parents.
She says, like... And this is the emotional fulcrum of the whole film, I would say, which is... she says... Watch sports on the flat screen, diner every night, steak and cobbler. If I don't get out of here now, I'm going to be stuck here just like Mom. Like, it was vicious.
Brutal.
And it hurts him. And she doesn't apologize for that in the film. She says she needs to apologize to him in the hospital bed. But you don't see the apology.
Yeah.
I don't recall.
No, you don't. And another thing that is crazy about the hospital bed is that she is completely fucked up from, like, pieces of glass being in her skin and beat up from being thrown around by James in the dance studio. Like, she gets beat up. Yeah. And then wakes up in the hospital, and they're like, Edward said you got in a fight and you fell down the stairs and flew out a window. Like, what parent is
you
believing
flew down 2 sets of stairs, baby?
You clumsy little bitch.
I have that written down too. And out a window.
And out a window. Was it because...
Well, that's what... I'm like, what parents wouldn't be like, this is clearly, like, the boyfriend abusing her or something? Like,
of course.
They
did say Carlisle was there fight? Too. So maybe they're, like, trusting this weird family.
Flightless bird being such an apt image for a helpless, immobile creature. Death is peaceful, easy. Life is harder.
Tea.
That is tea, I bet. Although we actually don't know. Maybe death, you're like in hell, in the flames of hell.
We don't know.
We don't know that. We won't know that.
I choose to believe it is peace.
I think in my heart, I know that if you want it to be, it can just be a complete end. And like, you're no longer conscious at all, and it's peace and just darkness, and you're done.
Yeah.
And I kind of have to believe that because the idea of being immortal is actually sounds like the greatest
Wow.
torture in the world.
Exactly.
I love life. I want to be alive, live a long, full life, but like, I don't want to live forever.
No. Then
That ruins
gift
the
of
whole
life
point of
is
life.
not a gift.
Yeah.
Tuck everlasting.
Exactly, which
Said so
the girl
much.
is named Winnie in that.
Oh.
Which is my sister's name.
Shout out to Winnie.
Shout out to Winnie Hauser, the married woman.
Married.
Okay, I have one more thing to say about this movie before we can
It
wrap.
ends on prom.
Yeah, they go to prom. What I was
Just
gonna
had to get that in there. It ends on prom.
Anything else you want to say before I say my thing, which kind of will set us up for what's to
Just
come?
that when they're dancing outside of the prom, and she's begging him to change her into a vampire, and he leans her down and like holds his mouth over her neck.
Yeah.
And like that is that's
image.
the classic
That's
image.
the vampire image, yeah.
And also Catherine Hardwicke does something so fun. She puts them in classic vampire clothing in another shot in a montage.
When it's like the sepia tone.
Yes.
That stuff like all makes the ripping off of the heads and stuff work. Something about that gives it like the grain and the texture that's needed to like make it not look cheesy.
Exactly.
Or look cheesy but in a way that feels cool still.
Yeah. Artistic. Yeah.
Which
But
they lose that later.
playing with that vampire imagery, that classic vampire
Yes,
imagery is
exactly.
so fun.
Yes.
And they completely lose that.
Oh, that reminds me another thought I had was like, why did their house have to be ultra modern? Like I would have loved a little bit of a Tudor aesthetic.
Well, Catherine Hardwicke is an architect.
Really?
Yeah. And this house that they chose is famous. Like people go to visit this
From
house
before the
No,
films?
from the films.
Oh,
I
from
mean,
the
it was
films.
I think locally known perhaps in like Washington before the films, but it became so famous because of the films that like hundreds of thousands of architects have built models of this house
Really?
just to study it and like
Really?
show their appreciation.
So
for
Catherine
it.
just happened to stumble upon this house.
I'm sure. I think it mattered to her a lot,
Yeah.
the house that they lived in. And it is their vibe to be modern, in my opinion.
It is. Even though it would have been fun if there was some more wood paneling. But anyway.
And they make a joke about, like, this is our haven. We don't have to hide
here.
So it makes sense that they would
Yeah.
want all these big windows.
Yeah. Okay, the film
That's all I have to say.
ends
On Twilight
in a
2008.
genius. I think the ending is perfect.
15 Steps by Radiohead.
15 Steps by Radiohead, which is like this percussive, really interesting song.
Should I play it?
You should just play a little snip. I'm sure they won't care.
Like, yeah, that's how you end a movie.
And what is happening on screen when that music begins playing is Victoria, who has been missing for a while, is watching from an upstairs window down at Bella and Edward dancing to Flightless Bird. And she turns around and starts walking down the stairs with this like gleam of like purpose in her eyes, and that music starts playing, and then it's like a freeze.
And she takes her hair down.
And she takes her hair down, and you like follow her for a second. I wish you just followed her longer, but
She needs her spin-off.
it's so perfect. I know it's weird that they got rid of that actress.
They
Apparently,
said
it
it was a scheduling
Yeah.
conflict, and I think it probably was because, and this is, I think, the perfect segue
Yeah.
into New Moon.
We have New Moon to do now.
It's time for New Moon.
It's time to do New Moon.
Is that so? This film, Twilight, came out on November, as I said, 21st, 2008. It made almost its entire budget the first day.
Wow.
And so the sequel was announced a week after its release in 2008, and they wanted to start
Wow.
filming immediately. And that is why Catherine Hardwicke said no. She said no to them because they wanted her to direct, but
Again.
she said, I need more time to dream.
Oh, they wanted to film immediately?
They wanted to start filming.
But what about the
immediately.
screenplay? Was it written? I mean,
I think
Melissa Rosenberg,
could
I think is her
just
name,
churn those
wrote
out. Yeah,
all of
Melissa
them.
Rosenberg wrote every single one.
Yeah, which
and
I
think
don't
easy to
believe
turn out.
that she
They get
has the
less-
great gifts.
They get
in the later
worse
ones.
and worse.
She doesn't
and it makes
try hard
sense.
on the later
I think
ones.
she just was churning them out because the New Moon was released November 20th, 2009.
That's
That is
my fucking
less
birthday.
than a year after one day.
And they hadn't even shot yet?
yeah,
That's my birthday.
that's your birthday. How old did you turn in 2009? 2009.
2009, I was turning, that would be my, Well, in 8th grade, I graduated 2008. So 9th grade, I graduated 2009. We share this. We're the lucky chosen few.
We're the lucky chosen.
So 9th grade, I graduate 2000. Graduate. So I don't know. I don't know. I was a freshman.
I think you're turning
sophomore.
16.
Yeah.
Sophomore, 16.
I never got ages pinned to years.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's crazy that they had New Moon out a year after Twilight came out. Like, that is really fast.
That's really
for
fast.
a movie.
And it shows, I mean, New Moon is still of a much higher caliber than the subsequent, but like, this is the thing, and I'm going to be bringing this up again, but like, they realized they had this
Moneymaker.
crazy moneymaker, and they were like, oh, it doesn't really matter what we put out. Mm-hmm. Like, we've found this thing to tap into, which is this female loneliness and desire that is such a huge untapped market, and we already have the fan base who are going to see it no matter what. It doesn't matter if we make it good, and we don't have to put as much money in, and we can make it cheaply.
Exactly.
And that's a huge shame. And if Catherine Hardwicke had stayed director for all of them and a real artist had been... Mm-hmm. Which it's crazy. Okay, I have to wait till we get to the later ones, but the director of the final two is the director of
hung.
Dreamgirls.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
And you said he should be hung.
No, I don't believe that.
Okay, so...
I think he can live.
Well...
He also is the director of Chicago. Or he wrote Chicago.
He wrote Chicago.
Yeah, let's save it for breaking down.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so the director of New Moon is Chris Weitz.
Yes.
Who did About a Boy.
Haven't seen.
Anyway, I like About a Boy, but I have a problem with this guy because the plot of New Moon is essentially, just to go at it from a bit, not a lot happens in New Moon.
No, New Moon is slower, but let's hear what happens.
So, Bella turns 18. It's her senior year, so she's turning 18. So she's and at her birthday party at the Cullens house, at her birthday party at the Cullens house, she opens a gift and gets a paper cut, and Jasper becomes a blood-hungry vampire and attacks her, basically. Yeah. And Edward has to defend her, and she almost dies. Yeah. And Edward realizes that he has put Bella in this danger. Yeah. In falling in love with her and embarking on a relationship with her. And so he breaks up with her. Yeah. Because he doesn't want her to be in danger. God, and then he leaves. He and the Cullens leave town.
Yeah. Where did they go? We don't know.
It's not mentioned. Yeah. Okay. But in an interview I watched, Chris Weitz says this interview is like kind of perfect that it exists because Kristen's not in it. It's just Chris, Robert Pattinson, and Taylor Lautner. So they're all kind of like shitting on the movie a little bit. And Chris, they're like, yeah, all the sorts of stupid stuff happens that like makes no sense, alluding to like the high school enrollment and the fact that they take planes or cars ever. Like, why wouldn't they just fly places?
Okay, right.
And then Chris Weitz says, and the fact that he breaks up with her, like, that's so stupid. And I was like, you as the director can't have that opinion about like one of your main characters'
you can't
decision.
Judge your characters.
You have to make it not stupid. Like that's your job. Like,
and that's why there's problems in this movie
like,
and all the rest of the movies.
Check.
The rest of the movies, New Moon marks a turning point to me. Twilight, the first film, I respect as a piece of art. Mm-hmm. Starting with New Moon and through the rest, I'm like, I stand by my high school self who was like, this is garbage.
I think basically. They start filming largely on a green screen, a soundstage in Vancouver, and they aren't in Washington at all. Yeah, they start filming on sound stages and using green screens.
They never go back to on location again.
I don't know.
God, that's
they
so
might,
sad.
but if they do, it's barely.
Yeah. And
you can tell it looks like a commercial. The films start looking like commercials.
It does. They do, and it's
Bella
super
starts
so much
a
CGI.
Wig.
Poor Kristen Stewart, who like just wanted to like take her craft seriously, but none of these boys wanted to. It's like it reflects the whole marketing fucking bullshit of how these books tapped into a female point of view that made them so successful, but because men were still running around controlling things, allowed it to be garbage. I mean, the story itself is not the strongest books ever, but like they could have still been good movies, all of them, and they aren't.
Exactly. This film, I will say, the soundtrack is really good. We have
Isn't Alexander Desplat coming on?
Desplat
Desplat
does the score, and then you have like Bon Iver, Saint Vincent, Licky Lee does a song.
Yeah.
Tom York does a song. Grizzly Bear.
They got really
Editors,
good music.
Death Cab for Cutie. It still thrives with the soundtrack.
Yep. And it's story-wise, it is cool how now we learn about the we don't know the werewolves in the first one, right?
This movie is all about... This is Jacob's movie.
This is Jacob's time.
Edward's barely in this
Edward
film.
leaves. Jacob gets a haircut. Jacob
gets
beefs
hot.
up because the director commands so.
Yeah.
Jacob gets hot, although I think he's hotter with long hair. I wish he was buff with long hair. That could have been heaven.
That would be hot.
But they had to appeal to the fucking normative fucks. Chris Weitz. Who I assumed was a gay guy when he was like, he needs to be buffer.
No.
But then I looked it up. He has a wife named Mercedes.
Not
which
good.
is actually...
Okay, so Bella, I will say the strength of this film is its moodiness.
Yeah.
Bella is heartbroken when Edward breaks up with her, and the only good shot in this movie, I think, is when... Actually, there's some good shots in the end when we meet the Volturi, but when she is sitting in her chair in her room and the camera moves
that
around
is
her
heaven.
and Licky Lee's Possibility is playing, and you see the seasons pass, and she's just staring out the window.
Yeah, that is a cool shot.
Yeah.
I think what's interesting to me about this movie is that they even attempted to make a movie that's basically just about a character who's so depressed she can't move the entire movie. And like, I don't think the movie is good, but the fact that it exists and is watchable at all is kind of fascinating.
I find it to be very watchable.
It is watchable. New Moon is watchable, and compared to the subsequent 3 films is quite good.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they even like were willing to attempt to make this into a movie. I mean, they were going to make the franchise, but like this book doesn't lend itself to being a movie.
No, it's a lot of werewolf history.
Yeah, and her being moping the whole time,
around, which is authentic to high school. High school girl behavior. So I can rock with it in that way. And then so Bella, in her suicidality, basically takes on thrill-seeking behavior because when she is doing dangerous things, she has visions of Edward.
Yeah, she sees his head floating like a hologram.
Yeah,
kind of like, what would be a comp to that? I'm thinking of the mirror in Shrek.
Oh,
but that's not quite it.
Sometimes I think she sees his body because when she's like on the motorcycle, which is also such a funny scene. She goes
the motorcycle
to
stuff.
a movie with Anna Kendrick.
Yeah.
And they, after the movie, she sees these guys on the street with motorcycles who are catcalling her.
Oh, yeah, and she goes and gets on it. Anna's like, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah. Which is really funny. It's like, it's
Anna is the cipher for the audience. Like, we are Anna.
We are Anna.
We are not Bella.
Girls.
Bella isn't normal.
No.
She's a weirdo. Anna is walking around like, let's watch Gossip Girl.
Exactly.
Let's go I forgot to mention in the first one, she's like, wait, let's go to the store before all the good dresses get cleaned out. I just love it. And then when they're buying the dresses and she's like talking about her boobs in the dress, and Bella's like, yeah, they all look good, like whatever. And
she's like, you're not even looking.
She's not even looking, but then Bella leaves and she's like, she's so right though, my boobs look amazing. She's everything. But yeah, there's the motorcyclist is a phrase I wrote down here because Jacob is the motorcyclist. They were repairing,
which is another hot thing about Jacob.
Which is another hot thing. Yeah, Jacob is the hotter one if you're analyzing a pro and con list.
Yeah, if you're looking at resumes.
But if you're looking at just star wattage, Robert's a star, and Taylor Lautner, unfortunately, like, isn't really a star.
It's unfortunate.
It doesn't quite work.
I wish he were. I truly wish
I
he
know,
were.
like, imagine if it had been, like, who could it have been?
I don't know. I mean, ideally it would have been someone who's Native American.
Yeah, which, like, there aren't that many big name
So
Native
it would have
American
to be an
actors.
unknown and maybe a star.
I know, and that's sad because I don't know. What is Taylor Lautner's background? Is he? I don't know. I don't know.
I think I remember looking up. He's like very minimally.
Okay. Well, he already was a star from Cheaper by the Dozen too, we know. So, like, he already had done work. But, like, imagine if they had found some unknown native actor who was amazing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
you think he could have been great? What?
As, like, a TV comedy actor.
Yeah, like he could have been on, like, Friends or something.
He doesn't need... he could have been a great, like, Matt LeBlanc type of...
He has moments in this franchise, in the first one, and there's some to come, I think, in Eclipse. I have to look ahead of my notes, but I'm pretty sure in Eclipse we get good work from him, but it's a shame.
Yeah.
About him not being
up to snuff.
He's not up to the challenge.
Yeah.
I mean, he did grow a really lovely pair of tits. So you've got and that's part of it. Like, he did the push-ups.
Yeah, and he's, like, pretty much in this film and Eclipse never wearing a shirt.
He's actually really hot, and I'm starting to want to take some things back. Because the idea of him being a bottom is correct. if you can lens him that way, like, I'm going to fuck him, I'm going to eat his ass, and
then
my tongue is going to go up
everything.
his taint.
Yeah.
Then maybe his acting is brilliant, and he's a little hungry bottom.
I wish he would have explored a role in which he were lending his taint to being...
I guess what it comes down to is I wish by the end, the final film, and I'm not trying to be funny, this is like a legit thesis, is I think it should have become a full-scale porn by the end. We should have seen, like, Edward fuck Jacob, Jacob and Edward fuck Bella, Bella fuck Jacob, Bella fuck Edward.
It would have been daring, and I would have respected that.
Yeah, Catherine Hardwicke wouldn't have been afraid.
No.
Because that's what this is. These movies are porn, I feel. I really do feel that way.
And this, so this movie, you see Jacob falling in love with Bella, trying to win Bella over. She is so sad and lonely that she basically falls for him because he's there and showing up and being nice to her and helping her perform thrill-seeking activities.
Which is so painful for Jacob, like, to know that it's just because...
I really feel bad for him.
So do I.
Yeah. And then
his romantic
he
arc
starts to feel sick.
Oh, Jacob gets sick?
Well, do you remember the scene when he goes with Bella and Mike to the gory film?
Yes.
And they both have their hands out on the armrest.
Oh my God,
waiting
Bella,
for her to grab.
Where have you been, Loca? And does she grab both of them?
No, she grabs neither.
Yeah.
And then...
what she did was that.
And then Mike gets sick from the movie that they watch, and they leave the movie, and Mike's like, yeah, sorry, it must have been something I ate. And then Jacob has this burst of anger at Mike, where he's like...
Why is he so angry again?
Well, this is the beginning of him turning into a werewolf. Because he hasn't turned until this moment.
And we haven't seen any werewolves yet.
No, we've just heard about them. Not really, though. Kind of. Yeah, we've heard about them. They've been alluded to. But we haven't seen them. And the first time we see Jacob transform is when he's jumping over Bella to protect Bella from the other werewolves, because he disappears from hanging out with her. And she is calling him, and he's not answering her calls, so she goes over to his place, and all of the other werewolves are there in human form, and she starts, like, basically, like, insulting them, like, what have you done with Jacob? What have you been up to? And they're just laughing at her. So she slaps one of them, and that pisses him off so much that he starts to transform into a werewolf, and Jacob sees that happening and runs and transforms into a werewolf.
And just to be totally clear, when Jacob is running, when any werewolf is running in human form and leaps into the air and bursts into wolf form, their jorts are bursting at the seams, and the cock is literally bursting through the fabric, and those shreds of clothes are lost to the wind, and they're just swinging.
And you still are Team Edward somehow.
Pink red rocket. I'm not Team Edward anymore. Based on the books, it's giving...
It is...
Jacobean monk.
It is funny that they just are, like, constantly tearing apart clothes. Like,
yeah.
They must spend
at least
so
they
much
sort
money.
of acknowledge that by keeping them shirtless. Like, imagine they hadn't done that.
They burn through shorts and underwear.
They burn... Oh, God, do they? New Moon... Basically, it broke a lot of records box office-wise.
It did. Much to your anger
much to my chagrin.
Frustration.
The 9th biggest opening weekend in domestic history, I have written down here.
It made $709 million.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's after,
thing about these numbers,
after spending $50 million. No, don't look at that.
The thing about these numbers for most of us is it's like, okay, like what does that really mean? But when you put it next to what they spent, you begin to see.
You begin to see it. And the crazy thing is that Summit didn't really have any hits other than the Twilight series.
What else had Summit done?
They did
I'm curious.
American Pie.
Oh, which the one guy directed, and that's why I also Christopher Weitz, who directed New Moon, directed American Pie, and he also directed Chuck and Buck, that Mike White movie.
Yeah.
Which is a really weird gay movie, and that's why I thought he was gay, too.
They did The Hurt Locker, Sorority Row.
But that would have been after this.
Yeah.
Sorority Row I haven't seen.
It's interesting. Letters to Juliet.
Haven't seen.
And yet they were bought by Lionsgate.
Oh, okay.
Because they were not successful. Even with all the Twilight films, they were not successful.
They did Holes. They did Holes.
They did Holes?
That's what I'm seeing on Wikipedia. List of some
Good for them.
Wow, that's like the greatest movie ever.
Yeah.
They also did Crossroads. They did Mr. and Mrs. Smith. Okay, so they had some important things. Bridge to Terabithia. So lots of Josh Hutcherson.
Yeah.
Hunger Games crossover. They had some stuff, but yeah, Twilight is bigger than any of those.
The reason I do like New Moon is because it is kind of like Bella's Eat, Pray, Love.
She
does to do some
out,
soul searching.
Yeah.
And then also she goes to Italy at the end.
At the end, because Edward is there.
Yeah,
Why does she go there?
So this is the reason I love New Moon is it introduces us to the Volturi.
Yeah, which are the most exciting part of the whole world.
Thousands of years old vampire clan that keeps the peace amongst all the vampires around the world, enforces vampire rule.
I like that they chose Italy as like the nation that would be the vampire. Like that makes sense.
Yeah, and Michael Sheen, who plays Arrow, the lead vampire, is the best actor in the whole movie series, in my opinion.
Well, here's the thing with
he
that.
He gets to have fun. He's rarely in it, and he gets to have
fun. But whenever I see him, some listeners will know Michael Sheen from his work on 30 Rock, playing like this British guy who like with Liz and him on 30 Rock both go to get like dental surgery and are on like dental drugs and give each other's phone numbers as like future husband, future wife while they're high on like painkillers or whatever. And then in the episode they meet up, and it's like the joke is that they're could not hate each other more, and he's just like so unpleasant. He's this unpleasant British guy who just like is boring and has bad taste, and like that's his character on 30 Rock, and that's the only other thing I think I've seen him in, and whenever I see him in Twilight, I can only see that character.
I am sorry
Wesley
because you don't get
Snipes.
the gift of just seeing him as this creepy ass vampire who is like sick in the head and is giggling for half of the lines he delivers.
No, he is good.
He's funny.
He's funny.
He's a sick, twisted guy. And
is Dakota here yet?
Dakota is in this one. And I think of her
gag.
delivery of the word pain. Because her vampire... So, essentially...
Yeah, her power.
Edward... due to a massive miscommunication, again... Edward... This is actually the most Romeo and Juliet.
Uh-huh.
Is, Edward... and reads Alice's mind. And Alice has a vision of Bella jumping off of a cliff into the ocean, which is something she does do for thrill seeking.
For a thrill seek.
But she sees that and thinks that Bella commits suicide. So she comes to Forks to see if it's true. And she sees Bella, and Bella is alive. And Edward calls the house where Bella's house, and Jacob picks up the phone, and he says... I guess for some reason Edward asked to speak to Charlie. And Jacob says he can't come to the phone. He's planning a funeral. And then hangs up.
Why does he say that?
Because he is planning a funeral for one of the... Seth Clearwater dies. He's like a previous werewolf. He's like an elder in the Quixote community. He has a heart attack because Victoria... is hunting Bella, and Victoria... Whoa!
Yeah!
Victoria scares him, and he has a heart attack and dies. And so that's the funeral that Charlie is planning. Victoria's just like a loose
she's
threat
Vicky.
in this
That's
film.
Vic.
And she's still...
Vicky with the V.
Not yet Bryce Dallas Howard.
No, she's still other girl.
Still Raquel or something. And so Edward hears that and then decides to go seek death from the Volturi because
he wants to die.
He wants to die, and so he thinks they'll kill him. So he goes to the Volturi.
But couldn't he just chop his own head off?
I do think you have to have enough force to have another. You need another vampire or a werewolf to do it for you.
Okay.
And so he knows his family won't do it, so he goes to Italy, where they live.
Got it. And Bella runs to stop him.
Well, he goes, he asks for death. They say no, because he has too special of a gift. So he decides to expose himself in the middle of town with his glittering
it's cockswing season
skin.
Anyway.
And so Alice is seeing all of this unfold. So Alice and Bella, girls trip to Montepulciano.
Yes.
To go stop Edward from killing himself. And
they succeed.
There's that epic scene. I love this whole montage because the town is having this weird festival where they're all in red, marching through the streets.
And so no one really notices Eddie doing his sparkle.
One kid notices him and is tugging on his parents' jacket, look, there's this sparkly guy. But Bella catches him at that moment and runs to his arms, and he's like, heaven. And she's
heaven.
like, no, I'm
in
alive.
Heaven,
I'm alive.
and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak.
But,
okay.
So, then the Volturi are down to kill him because he did break a rule, and they want to kill Bella as well.
Uh-huh.
Because she knows too much or something.
And so why don't they?
But then Alice shows them that Bella will be turned into a vampire in the future. It is written.
Yeah.
And they are too curious about her powers.
Yeah.
That they want to see
because they want
her become
weapons,
a vampire.
basically.
Yeah, they are very good at manipulating and acquiring vampires to be in their cult. In their cult, they have Dakota Fanning,
whose gift is the Cruciatus Curse.
The Cruciatus
for Harry
Curse.
Potter's. It's a pain.
Yeah.
Unendurable pain.
And the way she acts is great. Very minimally.
Dakota does her job here.
Pain. I think of her reading, her line reading of that all the time. Whenever I'm in pain, I hear her voice in my head going, pain.
Pain. How does she say it?
Pain.
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 Pain. Pain. Pain. Pain.
Pain.
Pain.
Pain.
Pain. It's a lot harder to do than it seems.
She does a great
She
job.
does that damn work.
And then my favorite actor, actually, besides Michael Sheen,
Are you gonna say?
his name is Christopher Heyerdahl.
Oh,
He's
the tall guy with the long
Marcus.
hair. Yes.
And he's
I
I think
need
the
his
oldest.
load hot and wet.
I think he's the eldest vampire alive, like ever, because he moves like a statue.
He's so hot to me.
And the way he does his lines is just so slow, and he talks like he said, "Thank you
Yeah.
for your visit." He's so
Oh,
slow.
that turned me on a lot to hear you say
moves.
that.
He barely moves.
I have some medications affecting my sex drive, but if I wasn't on those,
Maybe
I would have just
you can watch the end of New Moon to get yourself going.
I'll try.
Christopher Heyerdahl. Thanks
Christopher
for your work.
Heyerdahl. I want the vampires to be a little more striking looking like him.
Yeah, the Volturi
Or should I say her?
are hotter than
Yeah.
yeah.
Jamie Bell, who I've never noticed in my life, but watching these, I was like, he's good.
Yeah.
He has like
Which
the
one
long
is he?
blonde hair.
Oh yeah.
He's like the younger guy.
Caius.
Yeah, Caius.
Yeah,
He was good.
he's good. Yeah, the Volturi are hot and they're good and they are evil, which is fun.
Okay, so I kind of think we should make this a two-parter and take a break now.
Yeah. I
And
think
like
you're right.
order food or something,
That's a good
and
idea.
then crank out the
Holy
rest of it.
shit, we've been going for a while.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Love you guys. Aren't you up to speed now?
That's on New Moon. Anything else about New Moon? You don't have your notes. on
I
there
don't
'cause you
have a
lost
beat
your-
by beat of New Moon, and yet still found a way to make part one of this almost 2 hours. So
And then I will say we end New Moon with just Edward bringing Bella back to the Cullen family, them all voting yes, affirmative, to change Bella to vampire.
Oh, okay.
Fire, and he's really bitter about
he doesn't
that.
want that.
And so they end the film where they spend all of their most meaningful moments in a meadow. And he says, "I will change you on one condition, that you marry me."
And this we will pick
Ring
up
by spring alert.
because this. Okay, we'll pick this up in the next because I have thoughts on that. Anyway, bye Babbles. We'll see you soon. There's a fucking bug in my face.
I'm gonna talk about all the things that I wanna talk about. We'll just keep talking. We'll just keep talking. Just keep talking. Talking. For so long. Oh, we're babbling on. We're babbling
Bambanon is created, produced, and edited by Hilton Dresden. The theme song is by Benny Cortoletta, featuring Callie Baker, and is produced by Benny Cortoletta and Jack Grouse. The artwork is by Hilton Dresden. Audio consultation from Kenzie Woodrow and Dallas Seeker. Special thanks to Alec Cohen, Natalie Rotter-Waitman, Molly Montgomery, Nick Krause, and to everyone who has subscribed to Babbling on the Substack and refused to shut the fuck up.